Yes, people. What's going on? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. I'm fresh back out of Fenerbahce. I made it back in one piece. Yeah. Equipment intact. Yeah. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Look, I'm dropping everything now. Yeah. Microphones intact. Shout out everybody who was sending me love out there. Shout out all the positive comments. Shout out everyone saying that Josh should be sacked. Yeah. And just send me because I can do it all because of Flecknology. Yeah. But no, it was a good time on a personal, but obviously the team did what they did. But listen, forget all of that. This morning, it's about Eric Ten Hag. It's about Eric Ten Hag because we saw sort of yesterday evening Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail, who I actually saw in the lift at the game on Thursday night. Had a little catch up with him. We was talking about how shit the record is and how bad it's been, etc., etc. And then the next day or the next evening, he comes out with this. But what did he say? He basically said that United have held talks again or are discussing behind Eric's back again, potential suitors, potential replacements for his post. The Dutchman is fighting for his job again, he said. His discussions with Xavi in Barcelona, which they said from last week, I think it was Mike Keegan who might have said that. Amorim and Frank and Terzic are under consideration and other names are expected to be in the frame. And here's what he said in the actual pieces. Man United holds secret talks with multiple managers behind Eric Ten Hag's back as Old Trafford Chiefs draw up a list of potential replacements amid growing pressure on the Dutchman. And it goes on to say that Man United had secret talks so that he could save his job. The Mail Sport revealed earlier this week that United spoke to Xavi Hernandez 10 days ago after a four-man delegation was sent out there, which included Omar Barada. Sporting Lisbon boss Ruben Amorim is on there. Terzic is also on the list of potential targets. It's understood that Brentford's Thomas Frank is once again under strong consideration, having been linked with the United job. Now, look, a lot of that is kind of, we do know, we know he's under pressure. You know what I mean? Eric Ten Hag can't not be under pressure. He's under huge pressure. But the fact that Chris has gone so strong with basically these talks have been reignited again. I know James from the Muppeteers was very quick to come out and sort of just reiterate that when that story broke about Xavi about 10, 11 days ago, he was saying, well, he understands it as that's more of a in the summer thing. When you know, well, say just before the summer, around about the FA Cup final, when we all know that INEOS were out there doing what they were doing, that was when they spoke to Xavi and they deemed him sort of not a viable option. That's what James was sort of pushing back on. But it's interesting to see, 10, 11 days later that Chris Wheeler, senior journalist there at the Daily Mail, Mail Sport, does a lot of good stuff, basically saying that, well, they're at it again. They're at it again behind Ten Hag's back is what is being claimed here. And it feels like, if that's true, it basically feels like he's a dead man walking. That's what it feels like. And look, people can be positive still and hang on in there, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I don't think whoever you are, whatever your opinion is, you can always accept, you can't deny the fact that Ten Hag's under huge pressure. Do you know what I mean? Like, a couple more bad results, it's going to be untenable. Now, we're hanging on in there with some sort of, I don't want to say nothing results, but kind of results that keep you at par. Yeah, so Villa Park 0-0 kept you in the job. Brentford 2-1, fair play. We get the win. We really needed it to turn the valve just to give ourselves a little bit of breathing room. You get a draw in Fenerbahce in the manner that it was, some questionable decisions as well. In isolation, you'll go, it's a good point because Fenerbahce, I think they've lost one out the last 20 odd games or something, or 17 games or something at home in the Europa League. So teams don't go there and win very often. So you look at that in isolation, but then straight away you pivot and you look at the bigger picture and you go, well, 1 win in 11 in Europe, a year almost to the day that we beat Copenhagen last year when Onana had the last minute save, penalty save at Old Trafford. We haven't won in Europe since then. Like, you look at things like that, it's very alarming. 1 win in 7 in all competitions. So you can look at things in isolation and say, well, that's a good point against Fenerbahce, but overall, it's still not good enough. And then in the press conference yesterday, or the quotes that were released yesterday, I couldn't believe some of the things he was saying. And look, that thing about the Spurs thing about, I've just completely forgot that game. I've completely got rid of it because the red card was overturned. So basically the game's null and void. But it's not null and void because we didn't get 3 points. And somebody said to me, well, listen, look what happened the very next week. They played Brighton and they were 2-0 up. and they went on to lose. So the Spursy vibe can happen, and I get that. But if you look at this team versus Brighton, look at us and look at them, they got goals in them. This is not, again, people just choosing to look at one specific thing when coming with a little bit of positivity. But that's how it goes. But anyway, back to this. If Ten Hag loses more games, he's gonna get sacked. Like the fact that INEOS are onto it. I just think it took them by too early a surprise in the last international break. Personally, that's how I feel about it. Of course, there's a hope that he can turn it around. They're still staying where they are. They didn't hit the panic button, but it's no coincidence you're hearing that they're going out behind his back again and looking for managers. Let's be real. Let's be real. And really, they've got every reason to. Have we seen an improvement? No, we haven't. No, we haven't. We haven't seen an improvement this year. And Eric was talking about injuries again holding us back. Like, it's just excuse after excuse after excuse. How many more excuses do you need? How many more excuses do you want? And if you see the good in it and sort of think it's going to turn around, I just can't see how. I'll dissect the games one by one, 90 minutes per 90 minutes, and talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly per game. But the overall picture is not going to change for a hell of a long time. No, in my opinion, the overall picture is not going to change under Eric. I just don't think it will. We're going to win football matches, of course, because we've got some good players. And hopefully that's tomorrow at the London Stadium, because I tell you what, you're playing against the under pressure Julian Lopetegui as well. He's under pressure, two managers under pressure, and you could turn that quite toxic quite quickly there if you get a win there. But do you feel comfortable going into that game? No, the last couple of games we've gone there, we ain't even scored. Do you know what I mean? Last year was a catalogue of errors. Willy Camboala had to start, and the year before that was when what was the year before that? That was David De Gea, wasn't it? When he threw it in the net. Yeah, that was when Ben Rama took that shot. Anyway, my point is that no matter how shit they're playing, it's not a happy hunting ground for us. It's not, and the pressure is on, and the fact that INEOS are out there going behind Eric Ten Hag's back just shows to me that they're working, they're trying, and you know what? This thing that, like, who do you get? Who do you get? Well, there's names on the list, guys. And yes, they may not be the most sexy names, the most glamorous names, the most household names all the time, but Man United, we have to go in a different direction. Yeah, I'm fully open to the fact that when this new manager comes in, whoever it may be, I say when, maybe Eric lasts at the end of the season. I don't know. But whoever this new manager could be, I'm so open or resided to the fact that it's gonna, like, it could be someone really young, it could be someone who's completely inexperienced at this level, because the coaches that are synonymous at the big clubs or got the experience, they're not available, guys. It's as simple as that. They're not available. It's time to find the next one. Now that might not work out in 2 years. If it doesn't, they move on. Tatty bye. See you later. Move on. You keep changing it until you get the right solution. You don't just sit there and accept mediocrity, which is what is actually starting to happen. Some of the sort of excuses and reasons given as to why we're so crap, when the cold hard facts are right there in front of us, where this manager is not getting the best out of this team, is blaming injuries, is blaming PGMOL, rescinded red cards, is blaming, is coming out and saying, poor Owen, Fenerbahce shows that, we're a solid team. It's just borderline confusion, arrogance. I don't know. I delusion. I don't know. Of course, self-belief. I get that. I get you have to have a bit of self-belief, but it's not coming across in the right way. It really, really isn't. And it's one thing saying those things out in front of cameras, in front of journalists and the press, right? But also that level of delusional, when everyone's a bit sort of puzzled about the things you say, that then has to come across in your team. So if he's saying them wild things in the presser, but then we're going out and dispatching of teams and we're getting a run of results, you have to sort of hold your hands up and say, well, listen, he might come across as a bit this or a bit that, and putting himself in the same bracket as Jose Mourinho, or mention himself alongside him, self-belief and stuff like that. But you can't argue with the guy. Listen, that's 5 wins out of the last 5 now. No, that's not what's happening. Do you know what I mean? We're seeing the same problems in the team. So, look, whilst the progress isn't there, he's always going to be under pressure. I would love to be wrong with the opinion that I now have. I would love to be proved wrong. I would love for us to make sure we win tomorrow, then go on to Leicester, beat them in the Carabao Cup, then on to Chelsea, massive game on the Sunday. If we can beat them, things can start to turn very, very quickly. The league is the bread and butter. I get it. It's absolutely shocking in the Europa League not winning in a year, but the point of the matter is there's still time. I'm not losing perception of concept here. Like, there's still time to make sure we start winning in Europa League and get through to the next round. There's no doubt about that. What is it? PAOK, Bodo Glimt, Victoria Plzeň, I think, and Rangers. Those games should all be W's. Simple as that. But unfortunately, with how we've been under this manager and how the team's been and how the players have been, are we confident of beating anyone? No, we're not. And the reason that we're not confident for beating anyone is because of the work that the manager's done in the last 2 and a bit years. So we can't on one side say, trust the process, we feel like this, but then we're scared to play fucking PAOK at home. Or scared that Rangers are going to come and beat us. Rangers are awful. Absolutely awful. Massive football club. Massive fan base. Massive by name. But right now, today, in 2024, October, they're not a very good team. It's as simple as that. They get licks in Europe all the time. So if they come and play us off the park and we don't get a result, guess what? Massive pressure again. Same with PAOK and Victoria Plzeň and these types of teams. Because now we've played 3 games and got 3 points from it in the Europa League. You better start winning some games to make sure you get in that top 8 now. Now there's less room for there's less margin for error. Do you know what I mean? In the league, the same thing. It's the fine margins, isn't it? If you can go and beat West Ham, all of a sudden, Arsenal might drop some points. Chelsea got Newcastle. You never know, and we could start getting back in the mix. Do you know what I mean? With a decent win, and then you go and beat Chelsea. All of a sudden, it's a different turn of events. But guess what? You need these things to happen, and you also need to feel like these things are going to happen. And we don't have either right now. I hope I'm wrong on that. So, interesting from Chris Wheeler yesterday. Let's see how this pans out. Let's see where this goes. I'm convinced that I personally believe it's true. Maybe there's a little bit that wants me to believe that it's true because I think they should change manager. But I just think there's too much noise around it, and I don't think INEOS are that stupid to come that close before the last international break, where you can see the results weren't good enough. One win against Brentford and then a mundane draw against Fenerbahce. They will absolutely know that in the next few games there's room for sort of catastrophe, and they need to be ready. What type of leadership team would they be if they didn't draw up these lists? So if anything, they're doing the right thing. They need to have this list ready, because if they need to pull the plug or pull the trigger on this and change the manager, they need to have a plan. Because one thing we can't accept is if they just press the reset button again, press the panic button, press the eject button, should I say, and then they don't have anyone to bring in. You know what I mean? But then again, Ruud van Nistelrooy's there. So if it gets that bad, you can just give it to Ruud until the end of the season, or a few months or a few weeks until you get the next manager in. So we're covered at both bases. Finding the next replacement shouldn't be that difficult unless it's agreeing terms in the background. But I still think they're just trying to hang on and see. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Smash the like on the video, peeps. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'm out of here. Take care. Peace.